Hi there everyone, I'm coming to you this morning from the beautiful shores, Mamakocha of Byron Bay. I tell you what, it's not many places on the planet that you can come and find such pristine waters and hardly see a single other person. It's just incredibly stunning down here. We are very, very blessed. So I'm chiming in today because I was reminded this morning, and when I was listening to something, of a very, very precious and powerful story that I experienced many years ago when I was at an island in the middle of Lake Titicaca. The island is called Amintani, and I have a dear family there that I've known for many years, beautiful Rosa, and we go and stay with their family in the middle of the lake when we take our group sometimes to Lake Titicaca. And the amazing thing about this island is that it has not one but two temples, one on either hill of the island. One is called the Pachamama Temple, which is the temple for the divine feminine or sacred feminine and the cosmic mother, Mother Earth. And the other one is called the Pachatata Temple, which is the altar to the divine masculine, the sun temple. So we were in the Pachamama temple, and I was working with our beautiful group, of course, working with the medicine, serving the medicine, and I had an opportunity just to have 15-20 minutes to myself, just to lie down and rest. And so I lay down in the temple, and the next thing, I am engulfed in literally a sea of blue, sapphire blue. Like the color was so Atlantean, Lemurian, Aegean, I don't know, it was crazy. It was so incredibly beautiful, and I was being kind of sucked through this blue. And what I understood was that I was going through the lake itself, and that Lake Titicaca was a portal to a place called Paititi. Now, this is really interesting because Paititi is said to be a mythical place. You know, we hear about it in the legends. They used to call it El Dorado, meaning the city of gold. It's actually where the conquistadors, one of the places that they were coming to try and find, because they believed that the solar disk that was actually gifted to the pre-Inca by the Lemurians was hidden there. But actually, Paititi, my maestro Guillermo, he from Queros, he says that it is a real place. And actually, in our last journey in Peru, he actually gave me the most precious kuya that he said was gifted to him from one of the masters of Paititi, and he's been working with it as a healing stone. It's so beautiful, and it was such a precious moment to that's the only kuya that he was working with, the only sacred stone that he was working with in his mesa while he was traveling, and his guidance was to give it to me. And he didn't actually know at that point about this experience, this journey that I'd had, until he gifted that to me, this tiny little kuya in the shape of a heart, and on one side it has a star, meaning our divine origin, our heart star, and on the other side is actually a picture of a monkey, because the monkey is joy, right? It's munay, it's playfulness. And I shared with him later this story of going through the lake. When I went through the lake, I popped out the other side, and I arrived in this place that was it was in the most beautiful, luminescent, dense jungle, like something out of out of an animation. It was so incredibly beautiful. And there was a winding path, and I followed this path, and then I came across a paco, which is a medicine man or a shaman. And he gave me a coca-quinto of 3 leaves as a sacred offering to what I was about to encounter. I didn't know at that point what was going to happen. So I continued to walk, and I found myself next to this giant golden pyramid, which was very unusual to see a pyramid like this in the Amazon. It wasn't a Mayan pyramid, it was different. And so I continued to walk, and I came around the side, and there was this grand entrance to the pyramid, and I asked permission to go in, and I got it. And so I entered, and this place was, oh my gosh, It's hard to even put it in words. The rocks and the boulders in this place were made of pure crystal. They were clear quartz, there was amethyst, there was rose quartz, there was emerald, wow, there was lapis lazuli, there was all colors, but they were full boulders, not, you know, like exposed crystal. And this city was emanated this frequency of absolute harmony, of incredible grace. The peace and the serenity in there was so palpable, and you couldn't even describe the feeling of it. And then it was kind of like I was watching a movie, you know, and I saw the people of the city were, when they were communicating with each other, they weren't speaking words. They were standing opposite each other, and they would place a hand on each other's hearts, you know, diagonal, and they would just look into each other's eyes, and they'd be nodding and like yes, not, you know, like you would in a conversation, but there were no words. They were all communicating via this heart field telepathy, not through the mind telepathy, but through this telepathy of the heart, where they knew exactly what each other was saying. It was incredibly beautiful to witness. And then this man and this woman turned up that looked like a king and a queen. And I can still very clearly see their headdresses and these big earrings, mostly of gold, but with a lot of colour. These the crystals, like what we saw on the earth there. And they came to greet me, and I was like, where am I? And they went, welcome to Paititi. And in that moment, like, I was just sucked back through the portal, and I came back into my body like that. I was like, what the, you know, like it was such a shock to me. It's kind of like, how do I say, like we have to be ready to hang out in that vibration. And not to say that I wasn't ready, because I certainly was, but as soon as the mind jumped in, I lost access, you know. I was brought back out, because the mind, like, what, where, you know, so like all of a sudden is trying to figure things out, rather than being in the absolute trust of what it's experiencing, what it sees, what it knows. So I was like, okay, I wonder if I can access this again. So I laid back down, and the blue came again, but I never went back through to the temple. But instead what happened is I saw the king and the queen. They introduced themselves as Manco Cuppa and Mama Ocleo, who I discovered later, because this was many, many years ago, were the children of the sun, the first Inca that rose from the lake in the legends of Lake Titicaca. And actually, these beautiful beings were, sorry, there's some people coming, you're going to hear some words. Morning. These beautiful beings were Lemurian masters, and the Inca civilization was their wish, their desire to maintain the Lemurian wisdom and to seed it and spread it. And so the Inca civilization, good morning, the Inca civilization became, started to spread out across the Andes and beyond to, you know, this civilization, the children of the sun they called them, but really they were the children of the light. They had a plan to create an awakened society. So what they told me when they arrived to me again, and I said to them, you know, how do I access Paititi? Is it a real place? And they said, yes, it is a real place, and you access it through the portal of your heart, right? So beautiful, super profound. And the reason that I'm sharing that with you is because I really believe with all my heart that this is what we have been getting prepared to do, and this is what we are moving into right now. We are learning remembering is a better word for it. In the Quechua language, they have a word for, rather than learning, the word is yuye, which means to remember, which is so beautiful. So we're in this process right now of remembering this divinity that we have. But you know, the reason that we only access it for glimpses, you know, each one of us, we have these awakening moments and these periods of time, perhaps hours, perhaps days, perhaps longer, where we break through into a different state, and then we kind of get drawn back into this sort of current reality, internal. This is an internal process, right? It's not out there. This is the thing. The process is here. And we're being trained to remember our superpower, which is our feeling, and what we are able to access through this portal, this wisdom of our hearts. And that's where we're headed. We're learning to be 100% led and guided by that wisdom. And a lot of the time it makes no sense, you know, it doesn't, the mind can barely catch up. So, you know, we're going to be seeing all kinds of things continuing to happen on the planet as the constriction gets more intense. More things are being really forced to break down, and there are going to be even more incredible breakthroughs. So wherever you're at on your journey, my best guidance for you is to have a practice every single day that brings you really deeply into the wisdom of your heart. A gratitude practice, a practice of really being able to feel into what you want to manifest and create for yourself and your world, but learning to think with your heart rather than just with the mind, as we've all been programmed to do. Lots of love. Remember that Paititi is there for everyone to access. The city of gold lies right within your heart. Bye for now.